Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Lee Cantor here with Katie Galley, another episode of High Velocity Radio. Katie.
Yeah.
Full house?
Yeah, real full house.
You got your intern crew backing you up?
Heck yeah.
And we got a bunch of young people teaching us about life.
So many millennial experts in the room right now.
I don't know if my brain can handle this.
We'll see what happens in an hour.
But we're going to kick it off with Caleb Stevens and Nick Salyers. They got a book out called Collegiate. And then we're going to close it out with Jasmine Dennis. And she is a true millennial expert. And I know that because she has a lot of equipment, a videographer. She's got a whole team behind her. That's very millennial of you.
Very.
Well, Caleb and Nick, welcome.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks so much for having us.
Tell us about Collegiate. What is it about?
Yeah, so my name's Caleb, and this is my buddy Nick Salyers here next to me. And we are both recent graduates from the University of Georgia. Loved our time there. And about a year ago, we published a book called Collegiate, 7 Big Ideas to Make College Awesome. And it was really born out of some of the things that we learned along the way during our time in college. And I know when I was a freshman coming in, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And so I reached out to about 6 or 7 mentors that were a couple of years ahead of me. And I asked them every question under the sun that you could think of about, hey, how do you sign up for a major? How do you choose what classes to do? How do you decide what clubs to join? And I really took them all out to coffee, took them all out to lunch and picked their brain. And we really want to be that kind of over the coffee, mentor for someone else through this book. Because thankfully I knew 6 or 7 folks that I could reach out to and talk to and seek advice from. But a lot of kids don't. They come in and you don't really know anybody. And so we wanted this book to be a resource where if you're a rising freshman in college, this could be something that could help you kind of get started on the right track.
So it's for students that are starting college, or is it for high school kids that are getting ready to consider college?
Yeah, kind of either or. So a lot of high school seniors can benefit a lot from this book. And I actually have a younger brother who is graduating this year. And so he's also headed up to UGA. And
so it's not just for UGA students.
No, not just for UGA students.
It seems like there's a trend here.
But it's kind of, when I sat down to write Collegiate, that's kind of what I was imagining. Is if I sat down with my younger brother and I said, hey, here's what you need to know about college.
And then in your fantasy, he was actually listening and cared what you said.
Exactly.
So take me through the writing process. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I'm a huge Beatles fan. What I find fascinating about the Beatles is John Lennon and Paul McCartney and how they were both co-writers of the Beatles. They wrote all of the songs. And even if it was just John who wrote the song all by himself, it was always credited Lennon, McCartney. And we kind of took a similar approach to this book writing process where Nick and I, we spent about 6 months working on the outline of what are some common themes of people that make college really awesome, that you look back and regardless of their major, regardless of the classes they took, they had a really fruitful, awesome college career. We developed an outline for about 2 months. And then we said, hey, Nick, you're really good at writing the chapter on community. I'm really probably best suited for writing the chapter about purpose. And so you would go away and we'd probably spend 2 weeks at a time kind of writing individually. And then we would come back together and critique each other, share ideas. And that went on for probably a solid year, I would say. It was a grueling process, but also a really fun process. And it came together well, we think, and we hope.
So what's your relationship? You were just friends or you were acquaintances? How'd you know each other?
Yeah, the book kind of shares that story a little bit, but we just met each other in college and found that we were really aligned in terms of our values and our passions. And so we developed a strong friendship out of that. But that kind of was also the birth of this idea for the book. Was Caleb kind of really approached me and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing something to help, freshman in college or a high school senior.
Purpose is important to him.
Exactly. And and community is important to me. And so it was a really natural fit.
So you didn't have a third friend that liked writing?
No.
Just sent it all to him and been done.
We had a great editor who was not afraid to tear out the red pen and say, this is terrible, this is awful, this is unclear, this is vague.
It's invaluable.
So you did have a third person that was an editor?
We did. Our friend Cody, he was actually a mentor to us when he was a senior. We were freshmen, and he helped us kind of, sometimes you're so in deep of something creatively that you can't really see your blind spot. And so having an outside look at something anytime you're working on any creative project, I think is really key.
Now, when you were coming up with the concept, it sounds like the objective for that you want the takeaway for the reader is for college to be awesome. And awesome has different meanings for different people. Can you talk about why you chose the word awesome and what it means?
Totally. Yeah. I think one of the driving forces behind that title was a lot of people say that college is the best 4 years ever. And while we, on some part, think that's true, but on another side, we think that, man, college should be your best 4 years yet, not your best 4 years ever. And we think a great college career sets you up for a great post-college career and a great life. And I think that college is a great opportunity to kind of, explore who you are and learn about yourself and learn what you love and your passions and your strengths and your values. And then you can start to apply those things in the real world. And so we think that that's kind of what awesome looks like is, man, I had a fun time in college, but it set me up to have an awesome life. And it wasn't just 4 years where I had a lot of fun.
You don't want to peak. You don't want to peak in college.
Exactly.
We know some people that peaked in high school and some people peaked in college, right? Should be a stepping stone.
Yeah, and I would add too, I think a common narrative you hear when you get into college, particularly in the business world, when you go to business schools, you often hear this narrative of, hey man, you need to first make good grades. The second thing you need to do is build a killer resume. If you're in accounting, you need to get that Big Four internship. Then you got to go take the CPA exam. Then you got to go get those big bucks and make it rain and get that green. And while there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money, you're doing well in school, that's often where it ends. It's about making the grades, getting the internship, getting the CPA, making it rain, and then retire early. And that's a common narrative you hear in many circles within business schools and within the broader culture. And what we want to say is, instead of making good grades, why don't we focus on developing our strengths? And instead of just being about a resume, what if we focus on our passions and find where that aligns with our values and see where, what's a career that maybe I would never want to retire from, something that is more fulfilling. And so we're really trying to kind of help college kids think through, yes, grades are important. Yes, resume is important, but think more about what are your passions? What are your strengths? And how does that align with a future career?
But how do you fit that into kind of the paradigm of college in that, look, I'm 18. By the time I'm 19 or 20, I'm going to have to choose a major. Yeah. This is supposed to be the thing I'm going to do for the rest of my life. When in today's world, career isn't the same as it was, 20 to 30 years ago, where people had careers and had jobs and retired from those with gold watches. Where today's world, where you can have multiple careers by the time you're 25, you could try different things in different industries that are totally unrelated. It's more of a discovery for a large part of your life and maybe your entire career. So how do you kind of coach through that?
So I would say what we tried to present with Collegiate is a framework. And I think that what Caleb was describing of the get good grades, build a killer resume and get, more money than anyone else coming out of college is kind of the typical way. It's the normal way to think about college.
But is that really the normal way, or is that the way that it used to be? That sounds like an older model than today's model.
Right. And that's kind of the model that we put forth and present is say, okay, let's develop your strengths. Let's find your passions and let's align those things with your values. And when you do that, you will, find that thing that you want to do for a career. Or another possibility there is you take one step closer to finding that job that you do want to hold on to and that you do want to stay in. And so I think that that's kind of what it's about is that, maybe you do transition through 6 jobs in your 20s, but everyone using this framework should get you closer to that center where your strengths, your passions, and your values are coming into alignment. And so I think that's what we miss when we focus on grades and resume and money is we miss your talents, passions, and values coming into alignment. And that's where we really want to be because it's where we're going to add the most value for the people around us, for the organization we work for, and for ourselves and our community and our families.
Now, do you find that when most young people get started with college, their focus is at the end, my outcome is going to be a good job, that I am going to college in order to get a good, quote unquote, job, where they're better served maybe doing what you're saying is kind of, let me at first identify what I'm good at. Because a lot of people don't even know what they're good at, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know what their superpower is, what their strengths are. They don't know what they're passionate about because in their head, they might think something's a certain way, but they don't know what it's like in real life. Like some people, how many people do you know say, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a doctor. They've never even talked to a lawyer or a doctor to know what they do every day. But in their head, that's the thing that they're going to do.
Totally. And the other side of that too is most college students are preparing for a job that doesn't exist.
Right.
And so that's kind of the other side of it too is, some people call us crazy for saying, yeah, figure out your strengths and then just make that a job. Figure out what you love doing, find your strengths, and then make that a job. But really, that's what a lot of careers are now. And like, I have a friend who's a UX designer and she was applying for a job that she needed 10 years of experience. And I was like, there's not a lot of people who can say my job has been UX design for 10 years now. And so that's kind of the way that the modern economy is working is, the jobs that are being created. You really can create your own job. And if you can create value doing it, then yeah, that can be a career for you.
Now, what about the choose yourself folks, the ones that are going to create their own job, and they might be not in the conventional sense where I have an employer and I'm an employee, but I am good at blank and I'm going to sell that service to other people, and that, like kind of a freelancer or a free agent or whatever you want to call them nowadays. The people that don't have a job but just go project to project and just deliver a service.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the closer you get into alignment on your strengths, passions, and values, the more value you're going to create in that position or in a more traditional employee position.
And I would say on the freelancer side too, one of the things that I think college really affords you is free time to dabble in all kinds of things. Nick and I have a friend who, on a whim, decided to pick up a video camera and realized he had some talent and some skill, and he became a pretty well-known videographer in Athens. We have another friend who is a great designer, and he just started designing things and posting them on Instagram. And over time, people started to take notice, and they were like, Tommy, you are really good at design. And he ended up starting a hashtag series called 3 Wise Words, where I would go to you, Lee, and I would say, Lee, what are 3 wise words that you would have for anybody in their life? And you'd give me your 3 wise words. And then he would go and make basically a little sketch of what that image brings to mind when he hears your 3 wise words. And he's got thousands and thousands of Instagram followers just from this little hashtag idea. And if he wasn't in college, if he didn't have the free time to really devote time to that, he may have never discovered that that's really his passion and his skill. So I think in college, a normal day is not really a normal day in real life. And so I think use that free time to take advantage of it. And like Nick was saying, really find those passions and those strengths.
So now, did you self-publish this book or did you traditionally publish it?
We did. We went through Amazon, CreateSpace, very simple process, and they've been great to work with. And, for a first-time author that just needs to get a book out and you want your idea to be heard and seen by the public, it's a great route to go.
So educate our listeners on that process.
Yeah. So simply go to createspace.com. They'll have all of the things you need. Essentially, you create a PDF, you upload the PDF, they print it into a book. And what's nice about it is they don't send you any inventory. So the book is not printed unless an order is received. And so, Lee, if you decide to order the book, I think there's a warehouse up in Kentucky somewhere where the book is actually printed, and then Amazon will ship it to your house. And so it's nice for us as authors that we don't have to pay for tons and tons of books to come to our doorstep that we have to ship out and have inventory supply, and it's very hassle-free.
Now, the book, what about the cover? Because cover art's an important component when you're publishing a book. Why, how did the cover come about?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny arcing narrative on the cover of the book, but really I was trying to isolate down, what kind of represents college. And we actually start off the book talking about a freshman on their first day of class. We say, no one looks better than a freshman on their first day of class, right? They got their new polo on, they got it dry cleaned, they got their new sunglasses, all that. And so that was a little bit of it. But then also when I thought of college and when I asked a lot of people, they thought of Animal House and the college sweatshirt.
Right.
And so that was kind of the idea behind the cover art. And we designed the whole book by ourselves. And kind of our goal was that it was perfectly imperfect. So it's a lot of hand-drawn kind of aesthetic to it.
And then the book, so you wrote the book individually and then you brought it together and you combined your thinking, and then it was kind of a combination of all of you. Then you handed it off to an editor. They kind of proofread it and tried to get the grammar right and all that stuff. And then you submit it to Amazon.
Amazon CreateSpace, that's right.
And then from there, then they you can decide, okay, I want it to be just an ebook. I can make it hardback. I can make it any form you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And what's funny is the original idea, that was the idea, was to do like a 70-page ebook. It would be free. You could download it. We could put it on like our blog, something really simple. And the more Nick and I discussed and the more we just basically created ideas for this book, we realized that we were probably onto something a little bit bigger than a 70-page free ebook. And again, I think that's really a testament to the value of collaboration, of not going it alone. I think we have kind of this idea of the lone genius where it's somebody, in their like apartment in New York City, just like cramming away, doing their creative thing. And really, I think collaboration takes a community. Thinking about all of the great artists over the past 100 years, they've all been in some sort of creative community that have helped their ideas thrive and come to life. And so, for us, it was a 70-page ebook, and here we have a $10, 200-page full hardcover book.
Now, we're talking about community. How do you plan on building community around Collegiate?
So one of the things we talk about in the book is that college is less about what you're doing. Now, what you're doing is important, but it's less about what you're doing, and it's more about who you're becoming. And so we really stress the reality that your friends will determine the direction and the quality of your life. And Nick, he has a saying that he's kind of coined. It's that you will move toward and become like the people that you surround yourselves with. And so we want Collegiate to really be a cry for build community in college, because it will have a lasting trajectory on your life.
And beyond that too, we've started, visiting colleges, mostly here locally, and talking to students. So, we'll get up in front of, 100, 200 freshman students, and we'll share these ideas with them. And that's kind of the start of this building, this community, and this movement around what should college actually be about? Who am I actually becoming in college? And so definitely, if you want us to come to your campus and you're out there listening, let us know. Send us an email, and we'd love to come, speak to your campus.
So who are you speaking to at the college? Like through one of the, like you talk about the business college, it would be through the business college, or is it?
Yeah. So we've done
to the freshmen. Or
we've done events with student government. They'll gather together a group of freshmen who they're trying to help lead. We've done it through the business school. We'll be doing some at UGA through the business school this summer, and it's just any organization that wants to help develop their freshmen and sophomores, especially. We're happy to come help.
And youth leaders too. We've spoken at several youth conferences over the past couple of years, and it kind of is the reverse idea of how do you equip youth leaders to help equip their kids that are going off to college as well.
So now the title of the book is Collegiate: 7 Big Ideas to Make College Awesome. What do we talk about? All 7, or?
No,
you got to buy the book. You got to buy the book to get all 7.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and give you a little teaser. So it's purpose, vision, community, growth, impact, adventure, and urgency. And for the business folks listening, I'm sure you've heard of Simon Sinek before. He's kind of a well-known thought leader in the business world, and he has that golden circle where it's the why, how, what. We really use that as like an implicit framework for how we built the book. As it starts kind of with the why concept, purpose and vision, and why are we doing this? And then how? Well, it looks like community. It looks like growing. It looks like making an impact. And then what is it? It's a lot of fun. It's adventure. It's doing it with a sense of urgency that college is short. And so big props to Simon for that tip there of how to build that structure.
So now what are some clues that you had an awesome collegiate experience?
Well, I mean, for me, it's really like
you don't remember it? Is that
No, not at all, actually. I think for me, it's 1, like, did you have fun? But 2, did you learn about yourself? And I think that that's really a huge part of college is that, I think, grades are important. Sure. Getting a degree is important. Sure. But I think really, do I know one thing that I'm passionate about that I want to do, regardless of whether someone's paying me, that I want to do with my free time? Do I know one strength that I have? Do I have something that I can rely on, or that you could rely on me for? And do I know my values? Do I know what's important to me and what I want my life to be about? I think if you come out of college and you had a fun time and you learned those 3 things about yourself, I think that is an awesome college experience. And I think that everyone should strive for that coming out of college.
And I would add too, just on the, you do hear a lot, last weekend was so great, I don't even remember it. But I will say, if college truly is awesome, why would you want to forget it? Wouldn't you want to make memories and friends at a school you'll never want to forget with people you'll never want to forget? And so that's just something that Nick and I have always joked about is why would you want to forget your weekends in college if those truly are some of the best years yet?
So now if somebody wanted to get a hold of the book, what's the best way to do it?
Best way would be to go on Amazon and search Collegiate. We also have a website, www.makecollegeawesome.com.
Now, this was a project for you guys, but is this your day jobs, or is this something you'd like to be your day job, or you each got your own separate things going?
So, I mean, I would think ideally we would love it if this could be our full-time jobs. It is not. I work for a startup in Atlanta called Champion Tribes, and we help fathers and sons connect in life-changing ways. So it's kind of
is that a nonprofit or for-profit?
It's a for-profit, actually. Yeah. But so that's what I do full-time. And then Caleb.
Yeah. And we're big fans of side hustles just in general. I have a blog. Nick and I do speaking and we do collegiate stuff. I work for Corners Outreach. We do two things. We improve reading levels and test scores for low-income elementary schools, but we also start businesses underneath our nonprofit that hire the parents into higher paying jobs to help them have economic mobility and get out of poverty. And it's sort of a multi-generational approach to helping families.
Are both of those ventures faith-based, or there's
So Champion Tribes is and isn't. Overtly, we're not faith-based, but everyone who works on the project is. And it's kind of, we hope to see a lot of churches using Champion Tribes. And we supplement churches to use Champion Tribes.
I would say a similar answer for us as well. We work with public schools, so there's a line there that we have to be conscientious of.
But servant leadership is an important component of both of those?
Absolutely.
100%.
No question.
All right. The website again, if they want to get a hold of your book?
Is www.makecollegeawesome.com.
Well, thank you, Nick, and thank you, Caleb, for sharing your stories.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you so much.